Wyandotte, Michigan, situated on the Detroit River in the 1920s with a population of 20,000, made a stab at manufacturing autos, trucks, even airplanes. These fishing shacks followed the short but prosperous shipbuilding era of the 20s, and this slip launched the long boats of the Great Lakes. But today, this same slip will launch the powerhouses of offshore racing. From Wyandotte, Michigan on the Detroit River, the USA Network presents the Downriver Challenge Cup with the world's top competitors in offshore racing.
Tonight's show is brought to you by Mobil Super Unleaded Gasoline. Mobil Super Unleaded, it's really powerful. And by Levi's Jeans, Cords, and Shirts. For quality and style you can count on.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jim Biondi, and the USA Television Network is about to take you on a pretty fast boat ride down the Detroit River. The Stroh's Downriver Challenge Cup. In our broadcast center atop Portside Inn in Wyandotte, Michigan, our expert commentator is Betty Cook, two-time world champion, expert indeed. Betty, welcome.
Thank you very much, but I must admit, Jim, I'd rather be at the finish line in a boat.
There are going to be 37 boats finishing today, but also in 6 classes, Betty. That means races within a race. That's kind of unique, isn't it?
It's the only motorsport that exists that indeed has all classes running at once. At Indianapolis, you have Indy cars. At Sebring, you have all those cars. Even in motocross, you have only one brand or one grade or one sort of motorcycle running. But here we have 6 different kinds of boats. It does get confusing.
Well, we'll follow that all day, thanks to you and your expertise, and we'll also follow it with 10 cameras here on the USA Television Network, including one eye in the sky up in the chopper. We also have reporters from around the course, and I'd like to introduce them to you right now. First of all, out on Stony Island, here's Paula Aiken.
I'm out here by checkpoint 4 and 5 next to Livingston Channel. We're going to have a gorgeous view for the race today. The boats are going to be coming straight down, and we're going to really see some good competition.
And at our Mercury Marine ACR Electronics High Performance Center, Bruce Monty.
And we'll be telling you about the attrition rate, what's going on in the water, and all the excitement here in Wyandotte.
That excitement includes a very unique course. And Betty, why don't you describe it for us?
To the north of us is the city of Detroit, and this race has been run for the most part in the Detroit River. There are a series of islands down through this section of the river, and the start of the race has been to the east of this series of islands, through a ship channel, out into Lake Erie, to a small island which became a checkpoint, around that island, back into the river, thence under 2 bridges, past a finish line. Then a circuit was made of 4 laps, which did not include the lake section of the run.
Here are the point standings after 4 races. In offshore 1, the leader Al Copeland with 1,194 points. Then George Morales in 2nd place with Tom Gentry and Howard Quam tied for 3rd. In offshore 2, Sal Magluta, the leader, with 1,025 points. Larry Spurgill and Timmy Sasuli are tied for 2nd with A.J. Robert 4th. In offshore 3, Bob Carrick leads with Dan Weinstein 2nd, John D'Elia 3rd, and Mark Lavin is 4th. All right, Betty, they're in the milling area. We're about to get underway. We'll return to Wyandotte, Michigan, and the start of the Downriver Challenge Cup on the Detroit River right after this.
What a bummer. Another engine we can't mess up.
How could Mobil do this to me?
Yeah, make their super unleaded gasoline that good.
It's really powerful.
High octane is so...
Knocking and pinging is becoming a lost art.
Yeah. I just hope nobody else finds out how good their gasoline is.
How could they find out?
Mobil could make a television commercial.
Nah.
Stepping out all the Levi's for the roaring night. Don't you just love 'em? Yeah, they love 'em, everybody with the color and style.
Hi, I'm John Riggins, and as much as I love playing football, my first love has always been the great outdoors. And the folks who publish Field and Stream, American sportsman's favorite magazine, know exactly how I feel. That's why I've been a loyal reader for years. Every issue is jam-packed with meat and potatoes articles on hunting and fishing, like the times of the year and the places that should be best in your area. And that's not all. You also get the inside information, tips and ideas on guns and fishing rods, bass and bull elk, ballistics, to the best way to bait a hook. Now you can have 12 issues of Field and Stream, a year's subscription for only $7.94. Field and Stream is the hunting and fishing magazine for me, and it should be for you. Give it a try.
To subscribe to Field and Stream magazine, call toll-free 1-800-228-6262. That's 1-800-228-6262. You get 12 issues for only $7.94. You can't get Field and Stream at a lower price anywhere, so call now, 1-800-228-6262.
This Downriver Challenge Cup is about to start as the boats head out to the milling area to get ready. Offshore 4, it's Casey Canasson in the front with 1,225 points. Just O.J. is second, Nicky Coutreau third, and Dave Mullaney fourth. Point standings in Offshore 5, Bill Gazelle in the lead with 896, then John Emmons, Jack Clark, and Lance Rubel. In Offshore 6, Al Schwenke has the lead with 1,094 points, then William Kay, third Gene Whip, and fourth Walter Beasley. Here's the starting lineup for Offshore Class 1, the open class. Popeye's Diet Coke, boat number 4. The 50-foot Cougar catamaran driven by Al Copeland, the first of the big super boats. Then boat 84, the Chrysler Laser, the 39-foot active cat with Red Crane, the driver of record, and Bob Kaiser, Brian Elliott, Bob Pearson on the 4-man crew. Boat number 827 is Stiletto.
Here's the lineup for Offshore Class 2, which is indeed an international class. It's recognized in Europe as a Class 1 boat. Number 23, Maxon, a 30-foot Chris Craft catamaran driven by Tim Clisuli. Number 25, Seahawk, a 39-foot Cougar catamaran driven by Sal Magluta. Number 70, Surgeon, 38-foot Cougar catamaran driven by Dr. Larry Spurgill, who is a surgeon. Boat number 113, A.J. Junior's Mr. Roberts. Okay, Jim, they are coming out in the milling area now. They're lining up behind the pace boat. There's the green flag. It looks like a start. Classes 1 and 2 have started.
Betty, we have got a race, and taking off in front is Maxon. That's the 30-footer in the Class 2. The number 23, driven by Tom Chisuli. Maxon, one of the smaller Class 2 boats, has taken the early lead in this race. And Seahawk, number 25, the 38-footer, is running in second place right now with Sal Magluta, the driver. But look at Popeye, the super boat, the 50-footer with 2,800 horsepower, moving out in front at the early stages of this race. Popeye moving out front as they start classes 1 and 2 in the Downriver Challenge Cup. Now let's go to Paula Aiken at Stony Island. Paula?
We've got Popeyes coming in, and he looks absolutely gorgeous. Of course, he would be in the lead because the other two boats don't have the engine capabilities that he has. He looks real good. He's loose, he's trimmed out, he's taking it easy. This is the first time around the course. The fellows will probably take it a little bit easier until about the second or third lap when they know their way through. As he rounds the turn, though, he's going to be surprised when he comes up upon a freighter. Right behind him, we've got Stiletto, giving a good show there. I talked to them earlier, and they said they were having some engine problems and did a real quick engine rebuild. And Chrysler Laser, number 84. He's rather the local fella from the Detroit area. Real surprising how close they look. Coming now right by me here, entering the Livingston Channel should be an interesting run. They've passed a tanker. Hopefully there's not one coming down on them.
All right, Class 3 and 4. Thank you, Paula. 1 and 2 started together. Now it is 3 and 4. First of all, Class 3, the modified class. And they're getting the green flag now. Class number 4. Offshore 4, the modified V is also in this start. It's Power Play taking the lead in Class 3. M11 Power Play, 32-foot 6-inch Cougar catamaran driven by Dan Weinstein. Peter Huebner, the navigator. That is Power Play. 1,300 horsepower as they move up close to the 100-mile-an-hour speed. This class might just give you the best action of the day. There's seven boats in it, all of them pretty equal. And they should provide the best part of this competition this afternoon, Class 3. Betty, that's the modified class. Pretty close to the modified Vs. Actually, in both classes are fairly similar.
Well, yeah, naturally the cats are going to have a speed play on the V bottoms. They're just basically in smooth water such as this is so far. They are going to be faster. They're going to be a lot quicker getting out of the hole. But it remains to be seen with this wind what's going to happen out on the lake. I would predict that maybe they might slow down a little bit. It probably is 3-foot chop out there at least.
And now here's Paul Aiken back at Stony Island.
We've got Class 3 now, Class 4 together. We've got Extractor here in the lead. Extractor is driven by James Olowski. It's a 32-foot superboat and it's a catamaran. He's got two 500-horsepower Chevrolet engines, and he's really going to push this one to the max. He hasn't really finished a race this year. He spun out in Fort Myers and he didn't finish the Key West race. So let's see at the beginning now if he can stay together and complete this race. Jim, it's back to you for the start of Class 5.
The Pro Stock class, Paula, and 9 boats in this one, the busiest of the classes today, as they get the green flag and start out on their course. 144 miles today, and P72, what a package. 30-foot shadow driven by Dominic Palumbi. In a father-son show, Paul Palumbi, Betty, is the son, and he is the throttle man for Dominic.
I wonder who's the boss in that outfit.
Can't tell nowadays. What a package. A 30-foot shadow taking the lead in Class 5. Boat P3, Docksider, driven by Bill Gazelle, a 30-foot shadow, is in second place now. 480 horsepower. Smoky Cougar, P14, is coming in fourth right now as they move toward the Stony Island. That's a 27-foot Cougar driven by Larry Van Ameed from Mount Clemens, Michigan, local boy. Bill Campbell is at the throttles in the 750 horsepower 27-foot Cougar. Well-named Smoky Cougar. All right, Paula, out at Stony Island. Here comes Class 5.
So far here between checkpoint 4 and 5, everything looks good. The crews have done an excellent job in clearing the channel here. They've tried to hold some of the boats back. We've got a few of them sitting out here. It looks safe, though. It looks like a good safe race for the drivers. You always have to be very careful of spectators. These boats do into the 120, 130 miles an hour, and it's very difficult to make a sharp turn at the last minute. So the race committee here should be congratulated on a good, safe course around checkpoints 4 and 5.
Right now, let's take a moment to thank the 1984 Wyandotte Race Committee, Henry Ryan, Robert Tunney, James Wagner, Sam Piuni, Bruce Smith, Elaine Wagner. Hard work. Job well done, folks. And the club class, offshore Class 6, is getting their start. Betty, these are the smaller boats. I put smaller in quotations. What is the difference?
Well, the main object of this class has been to try to make an introductory into offshore racing, perhaps a little more cost-effective than the big monsters are. We've got mostly outboards in this class. It doesn't, the cubic inch displacement limitation is such that it's better to have outboards.
This is Team Gulfwind, Betty, the 22-foot Velocity. Eugene Whip, the driver. Rodney Presley is the throttle man, and they are in the lead in Class 6 right now. We'll be back at the Portside Inn with more exciting offshore racing exclusively on the USA Network.
A forward pass, a lateral, and a run to daylight. Hi, this is Bob Greasy for the Sporting News, and we have a play that'll win big for you every time. 2 issues for the price of 1 to introduce you to the Sporting News, the Sports Bible.
That's right. You get 23 issues of the Sporting News for just $9.97. 2 for the price of 1. You can't buy the Sporting News at a lower price anywhere.
It's the magazine that gives me the no-nonsense details of all Major League sports and college action. To love sports is to love the Sporting News, the Sports Bible. Why don't you subscribe today? And here's a friend to tell you how.
That's right, Bob. You get the Sporting News at the low rate of 44 cents an issue. 23 issues for $9.97. That's half the regular subscription price.
To subscribe, call toll-free 1-800-445-8400. That's 1-800-445-8400. That's 1-800-445-8400.
It's 3 counts of crime-cracking action this week on USA's Crime Busters. Kevin Dobson is out to trace a cop-killing thief on Shannon. The stakes have never been higher as Chase tries to stymie a racetrack ripoff. And Maverick lawyer Eddie Capra uncovers one suspect too many in a crime of passion that leads to personal conflict on the Eddie Capra Mysteries. Your Wednesday night's locked up with USA's Crime Busters at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, right after Dragnet. Tomorrow, book it.
Hey, everybody, get out your swim gear, grab a friend, and hold on to your pineapples. Paradise may be just a phone call away. Watch Night Flight Saturday, September 15th for a spectacular phone-in contest. Grand prize is a week for 2 in Hawaii, including airfare and hotel, windsurfers for 2, plus a crash course on how to use them, and $1,000 cash. 250 runners-up win Hawaiian Punch tote bags. The Hawaiian Nights contest. Get the magic number to call during Night Flight at 11 p.m. Eastern on USA Saturday.
Here's how the points are awarded. The first place boat in each class receives 400 points. The second place vessel gets 300, 225 to third, 169 for fourth, and 127 points for fifth. Hustler getting a very late start after some mechanical troubles at the beginning. V28, the modified V boat, getting, 10 or 15 minute late start. What does that do to him, Betty?
Easily. Well, that's an awful lot of time to make up. But you have to look at the attrition rate as well. If the boat's in front of the breakdown, then they've got a really good chance for picking up some points.
They are allowed to start up to 1/2 hour after the official start, so they're well within their rules in getting this late start, about 15 minutes. Hustler, of course, Casey Knosson is the driver. Mark Vander Ark, the throttleman, a 33-foot Maverick in the modified V class. Hustler starting out and hoping to make up a lot of ground. Right now, here's Bruce Monty in the High Performance Center.
Jim, as you may know, there is a difference between Class 3 and 4. The letters M in Class 3 stand for modified, while V in Class 4 stand for modified V. That means that Class 3 is basically a catamaran class, while Class 4 is a deep V class. Cubic inch displacements for outboards and inboards are the same. They're fast, they're fun to watch. It's going to be a good one.
All right, Paula, back to you.
We've got 9 club class boats coming down on us now, and in the lead is K&K Ghost with Jeff Calabet and his brother Kenny, a brother team there. In second place is Team Golfwin, a 22-foot Velocity with Gene Whip and Brad Presley. This particular class of boat that races is similar to something you might find in your backyard. You could probably bring it out with a few modifications for the American Powerboat Association. Get in it and go out and race.
And Hustler does have a start. V28 in offshore Class 4, the 33-foot Maverick, so late coming out. But he's on his way. Casey Knosson at the wheel.
I had a chance to talk to Casey earlier, and I asked him how he got the name for Hustler. And he's always telling his men to go out and hustle. So he decided to put it on his boat. It seems to be that might be the secret for his racing. He's a big hustler.
This is a great spectator race, Betty.
It certainly is. Isn't it great to see all those people out there that fascinated with powerboat racing? I must say I don't blame them any. It is a fantastic spectator sport.
Earlier, I had a chance to talk with Heinz Prechter, a co-sponsor of this Downriver Challenge Cup race. Heinz has been a supporter of this race, this area, for a long time. How did that come about?
Oh, about 3 years ago, Sam Puende, one of my Downriver associates, talked to me about offshore races they try to put together here and sought some support in order to be able to pull it off. And he convinced me of doing it, and I have been associated with the boat races ever since.
Of course, this is all a part of the American dream that you talk about so much. You came over here with $11 in your pocket and are now an extremely successful businessman in this area and around the world. Is this offshore race part of the American dream, too?
Oh, definitely. To be able to participate in an activity like that, to support an area in which you live and work, I think it's a privilege, and therefore I think it is part of the American dream.
And here is Class 6, the club class. They do not take that long lake leg, so you are in sight of them right now as they come around the island and start back upriver again. They'll do this 4 times around the course. And then finish, of course, at the same line right in front of our broadcast center here at Portside Inn in Wyandotte, Michigan. So this little club class doesn't have the mileage to go. They're going about 101 miles versus 144, Betty.
We got a V-bottom giving a cat a pretty good battle here. I think that's just great.
Betty, we're talking a great deal about the cats and the V's. Tell us about the differences.
Basically, the difference is in the way the hull is shaped. A V is simply that. The hull is shaped like a V. The catamaran, on the other hand, is a twin-hulled vessel separated by a wing, the point being that as it drives into speed, it builds up a cushion of air, rides on that cushion of air, providing less wetted surface, therefore less drag, hence greater speed.
Scarlett O'Hara's coming up river, leading in Class 6, the club class, where 9 boats, the busiest class today, 9 boats are vying for the championship in the Downriver Challenge Cup here in Wyandotte, Michigan. You're looking at Scarlett O'Hara's C26 in the club class, the 25-foot Cougar, Walter Beasley, the owner, and they are coming in first, moving upriver right in front of us at Portside Inn. In second place, Team Gulfwind. How do they look to you, Betty? They pretty well set up?
Well, I think so. For a V-bottom, that boat really runs, and I'm impressed with the way those little cats run.
And
absolutely beautiful.
Miss Minneapolis, C4, went across in third place. And K&K goes, C84, running fourth in the club class. And again, that's going to be a close one. Team Gulfwind, 22-foot velocity.
The V-bottom's giving him a run for his money. He's going to push him. Oh, my goodness, look at this. They've just passed it.
Team Gulfwind, streaming by Scarlett O'Hara's in the club class. Let's go out to Stony Island at Paula Aiken.
We had some problems with the Babalo ferry. He comes across and he gives quite a wake. And the driver's meeting, they had talked about him. And they said, please be careful, because when you hit that wake, the boats will really go for a ride. And sure enough, some of them have. In first place, though, is C44. We have Team Gulfwind. It's a 22-foot velocity with Gene Whip. He took second in New Jersey and first in the Popeyes race, and he's leading again in this one. And right behind him is C26 Scarlett O'Hara's, and that's a new 24-foot Cougar. It's owned by Walt Beasley. Walt had to change boats mid-season, so he's starting out all over again, but Gene and Walt are very good friends, so this is going to be a good, friendly competition out there. The chine walk that you're seeing on these boats is caused by probably going too fast. They go from side to side. Sometimes it's due to the balance. Could be the engines could put them off. Could be the different weight ratio inside the boat. But you'll see that they're exceeding probably the limits of the hull. And they will go from chine on one side to chine on the other side. Could be a very dangerous situation. They seem to have it in control. They're taking great leaps, though. You can see that they are just going as fast as they can. They're probably doing around 70 miles an hour. And like I had said earlier, this is the type of boat that you can bring from your backyard out and race. So they're sitting down, and the type of ride that they're getting isn't too comfortable.
A boat dead in the water, Smoky Cougar in the postdoc class. Let's go to Bruce Mahdi in the Mercury ACR High Performance Center. Bruce?
Larry Vanamide in the Smoky Cougar is having a little bit of a problem right at the present time, and I think what Larry is going to be doing is taking a look at those outboards and seeing if it's repairable. If it's repairable, the problem, then he will get back into the race and keep on racing. If not, he will ask assistance from the patrol boat, then radio the communication center and say that he is out of the race. But right at this time, he is still in the race. He is just looking things over. Back to you, Jim.
This is Jim Biondi with two-time offshore world champion Betty Cook. Stay with us for more incredibly fast-paced racing action exclusively on the USA Network.
Hi, I'm John Riggins. And as much as I love playing football, my first love has always been the great outdoors. And the folks who publish Field and Stream, American sportsman's favorite magazine, know exactly how I feel. That's why I've been a loyal reader for years. Every issue is jam-packed with meat and potatoes articles on hunting and fishing, like the times of the year and the places that should be best in your area. And that's not all. You also get the inside information, tips and ideas on guns and fishing rods, bass and bull elk, ballistics, to the best way to bait a hook. Now you can have 12 issues of Field and Stream, a year's subscription for only $7.94. Field and Stream is the hunting and fishing magazine for me, and it should be for you. Give it a try.
To subscribe to Field and Stream magazine, call toll-free 1-800-228-6262. That's 1-800-228-6262. You get 12 issues for only $7.94. You can't get Field and Stream at a lower price anywhere, so call now, 1-800-228-6262.
In the West, where Levi Strauss & Company began, how your clothes feel has always been just as important as how they look. That's why Levi's Action Slacks have an easy care fabric that gives, plus a waistband that moves with you. It's a feeling of comfort that's capturing more men every day. Levi's Action Slacks. A real comfort from Levi's Menswear.
Number 25, Seahawk, is leading the offshore 2 class. That's the 39-foot Cougar catamaran who finished first in their last race at Point Pleasant Beach in New Jersey.
It's going to start getting confusing now because you're going to find that the big boats are going to begin lapping club class boats and probably even production class boats.
Right now, let's go to Bruce Monty in the Mercury ACR High Performance Center and see what's happened with the big boat in the race. Bruce?
The Popeye boat is having troubles, and with 4 700 horsepower Mercury engines, you see a lot of white water coming from the back. That means that either the outdrive or one of the inboard engines is dragging in the water and is completely out. So they are having problem and running on less than 4 engines.
You'll note that with 4 engines, you think you've always got 3 to spare, but you really haven't. Should he lose another drive or another engine on the same side as this one, it's no longer possible to keep that boat up on plane. Therefore, it becomes just a great big slug.
That's Popeye, the big 50-foot Cougar catamaran with Al Copeland at the wheel. Number 23, Maxon. Tim Chisuli's boat. Going on the downside in the offshore class 2, the international class. Offshore class 3. There's M94, Jesse James, just crossing in the modified class. Jesse James, big 30-foot Chris Craft.
Chris Crafts, you know, are new in racing this year. It's been many, many years since Chris Craft has fielded race teams. And I'm very pleased to see that these 30-foot cats are doing so well in any class.
Chris and Mark Lavin at the wheel and the throttle of the F-94. Those letters tell you what class we're talking about, don't they, Betty?
Indeed they do. The M class, by and large, now is a separate V, only catamaran class. The V indicates the same, exactly the same class in terms of restrictions, except it's for the most part confined to V bottoms. The P stands for Pro Stock, which is a modification of certain stock engines and stock boats. The C we have dreamed up as a club class.
Now let's go to Paula again on Stony Island.
8 tons, Popeyes, 16,000 pounds coming on a freighter. That should be an interesting sight to see. It's not going to bother Popeyes to run across a freighter this size because his boat's just going to go over that small wake. However, some of the smaller boats are really having a time. 16,000 pounds, 8 tons, moving at over 100 miles an hour, and he's in first place. He finished 4th in Key West. He finished 1st in his own race that he sponsored, and he set a world record with a sizzling speed of 97.46 miles an hour. Finished 3rd in New Jersey, which puts him 1st now in the national standings. Jim, it's back to you.
Surgeon, the 38-foot cougar, Larry Spergel at the wheel, running 3rd in Class 2, the international class.
He's not running very well either, Jim. If you notice, he's got too much wet bottom, which is lots and lots of drag, and that boat's got surface drives on it. Really should be running faster than that. I think he may have he's having some steering problems. Can you see?
Yes, you like that bow out of the water a little more, don't you?
Yeah, you do. And you don't like to run with, if you'll pardon the expression, such a wet bottom.
Now let's go to Bruce Monty in the Mercury Marine ACR Electronics High Performance Center. Bruce?
Thanks a lot, Jim. Larry Spergel, the surgeon, is having a little bit of a problem. He is running only on his starboard engine, and that means that his left side engine is out. Now, what he has had to do is fly an engine that arrived in a charter plane this morning at 3 a.m. And he was putting the engine in at that time. They got the boat ready, and they tried to test it this morning, but they weren't able to test. They just got it out there. Okay, back to you, Jim.
This lake kind of has to favor the cats today, doesn't it?
Oh, definitely. No question about it. No question about it. But you know, boat handling and boat preparation is everything in offshore racing.
There are 3 very important crew positions on these high-performance boats. No one is along just for the ride. Paula Aiken, tell us about the crews.
I'm standing here in an offshore powerboat, and standing's just what I mean, because this is a bolster that helps hold the drivers in place. Right here is where the driver stands, and the driver is the captain on board this boat. He is responsible for the conduct and the behavior of this boat. He also steers the boat. Now, he has to keep a compass heading, he has to miss any debris that might be out, and he also has to steer into the waves to keep this boat in its correct attitude. His best friend is his throttleman, his co-driver. And the co-driver is responsible for the throttles. Flying out of the water, he has to pull back on them so that the engines don't overread. He's responsible also for the drive units. He's also responsible for watching the gauges, pressure and oil, and you notice there's 2 of those. Also standing over here to my right would be the navigator's position. You can see the charts sitting here. He's responsible for reading those charts and keeping that driver on his course, because sometimes 1 degree might be the difference between victory and lost at sea. So the summation of really these 3 people on board is teamwork.
This is number 25, Seahawk, in the Offshore 2, the international class. 39-foot cougar with Sal Magluta at the wheel.
That boat ran formerly as the old Collection, and it always has been what you call a well-attitude boat. That is, it runs with its nose up.
All right, in the number 1 class, Popeye, the big 50-footer, coming around, Grosse Ile. Still number 1 and still on those 3 engines, Betty.
Yes, you see, he's all by himself in class right now. We haven't seen Chrysler Laser come by, and we do know that 827 Stiletto went down out at East Sister Island, West Sister Island, pardon me. Therefore, he's all alone.
M187 just moved. HMS Diawan just moved from the modified V class. And a female crew member on that one. Currently in 3rd place in the modifieds. Frank Buckley, the driver, Dia on board. That was a V187 coming in here, but went to the modified class, Betty, and running 3rd right now.
I think that's darn good, considering he's having to run against catamarans, which are ostensibly so much faster.
And the first boat in the Offshore 5 class, the Pro Stock class, is Docksider. 30-foot shadow, Bill Gazelle, the driver, up in front in the Pro Stocks. What a package. P72 in the Pro Stocks. Going by our finish line here in front of Portside Inn in Wyandotte. Class 5. And he's third in his class right now. What a package, driven by Dominic Palumbi. And his son, Paul. 30-foot Shadow. Number 3 in Offshore 5, the Pro Stocks. You're watching the Downriver Challenge Cup in Wyandotte, Michigan here on the USA Network, and the thrills of offshore racing will continue after these messages.
Now there's an easier way for you to keep up with all the latest in news, sports, money, and life. It's USA Today delivered right to your home or office every day. And when you subscribe, look at all you'll get.
A whole new way. USA Today.
USA Today, the nation's newspaper. At home or at the office, it brings you all the news from around the corner and around the country in 4 colorful sections. News, sports, money, life. USA Today. Exciting, rewarding, fascinating, vital.
USA brings you the USA.
USA Today, via satellite from the nation's capital right to your door. Call now and you can have it delivered at this special introductory price. Order 13 weeks at our regular rate and you'll get an additional 2 weeks free. That's 15 weeks, 75 issues, all for just $22.75. But you must act now. This deal won't last forever. Plus, if you call now, with your paid subscription, you'll also get this matching USA Today t-shirt and cap free. Just call 1-800-453-2900 to start delivery of USA Today. That's 1-800-453-2900 to get USA Today. The newspaper of tomorrow is here today. USA Today, the nation's most colorful and most comprehensive newspaper. News covering the nation from every state. Money, how to make it, how to spend it. Sports, all the results from everywhere. And life, the talk, the trends, and what's worth trying.
USA Today brings you the USA.
Now's the time to act. Get USA Today and your matching t-shirt and cap free. Call now.
Let's pick up now with Offshore 4. And this is V111, still crazy in the modified V class. The 30-foot Velocity with Richard Fulham driving. It's got 1,000 horsepower in those Merc Cruisers, Betty.
Somebody, that's a lot of horsepower in a little boat.
And you remember V28 Hustler started this race about 15 or 20 minutes late and is now trying to get back in it. Hustler in the Offshore 4 class, the modified Vs. Casey Canasson, the driver in that 33-foot Maverick, still trying to make up a lot of time lost at the start.
He's really running well, though, now, isn't he? I'm impressed. That's Tenasson, not Canasson, but Tenasson.
What about inboard and outboard on this particular course, Betty?
Well, as I said earlier, the advantage of outboard engines is the fact that per cubic inch displacement, they develop more horsepower. But somehow or another, I still am an inboard girl. I like driving an inboard, and I really feel that they have a reliability about them, which is great.
ACR Spirit P27. Lance Rubel is at the wheel. Another Chris Craft, Betty, 30 foot, 6 inches.
Well, Chris Craft decides they're going to do something. They really do it with their engines, don't they, Jim?
Why?
They have got
a little objectivity there.
Yeah, really, they've got 8 boats in this, and I must say I'm very impressed with the cat. I'm going to run one fairly soon up the Hudson River on a speed trial.
The ACR Spirit.
Still Crazy is still leading in Offshore Class 4 as Dick Fulham in the Velocity boat is well in front of his competition. In fact, he's so far in front that the boat Hustler is in second place right now, just in front of Tapper, who is in third. B. Haven, who was in second place, came back into the pits. His problems, he had a rod problem, he dropped one, he just got back into the pits. He's out of the race, but it's still crazy in first place with only one more lap left here at the Stroh's Downriver Offshore Challenge Cup race.
Boat safety is a top priority out here today, and Dr. Matt Houghton talks about that.
The essence of racing is risk. The excitement of racing is competition in face of that risk. Our job is to minimize that risk. 70% of the injuries occur in the cockpit. Some competitors face the forces of racing standing up in a bolster, while others are sitting in a specially designed seat. These seats are padded to absorb and rebound, to give the maximum protection to the body in concert with the personal safety devices. Cockpits must be obstruction-free. No switches or open grab bars to rip and tear human bodies. Open deck cleats are closed or recessed. Throttles are also guarded and recessed. Onboard safety equipment, which must be readily accessible, includes an automatically inflatable life raft, a first aid kit, individual use fire control devices, food, and water. The emergency positional indicating radio beacon for location of disabled craft is activated on accident or injury. Ignition kill switches are attached to each competitor to offer instant power shutoff when a man is lost from the cockpit. Much difference from your regular pleasure boat. Safety is always first offshore.
Let's pick up with Offshore 6. You're looking at C-26 coming in for the checkered flag. Scarlett O'Hara's in the 24-foot 8-inch Cougar. Walter Beasley coming upriver and getting ready to take the checkered flag in Class 6, the club class. Betty, that's a proud moment for him.
Oh, it is indeed a proud moment. That ought to be a proud moment for Cougar, too. That is a dynamite little boat. I think it's his rookie, its appearance.
And here's your club class winner. Scarlett O'Hara's with Walt Beasley coming in. The first boat to get the checkered flag today in the Downriver Challenge Cup. A happy moment for the Cougar. There's the second place boat, C4, Miss Minneapolis. So Bob Erickson and Harold Stepp happy as well in their 24-foot skater.
And that, once again, is another new boat on the circuit, and that is making its initial appearance.
The winner of Offshore 6 is with Bruce Motti in the Mercury Marine ACR Electronics High Performance Center.
Well, the club class champion is Walter Beasley with the Scarlett O'Hara's, along with his driver, Chad Kniff. And Walter, you had a rough, tough race there for the first couple of miles. You were battling Team Golfwin and Miss Minneapolis. Did you just think you overpowered him?
Yeah, eventually we overtook him as we got lighter on fuel.
What was out there for the smaller boats? What type of conditions were it? Because you know for the bigger boats, they sort of went over all this stuff, but you guys might have had a little rough going with this wind.
Yeah, on the back straightaway, there were some big waves. It was pretty rough.
Class 6 champion, Scarlett O'Hara's.
More of the Downriver Challenge Cup from the beautiful Portside Inn on the Detroit River in Wyandotte, Michigan, when we return.
You know, we haven't messed up an engine all day. It was your idea to come here.
Yeah, big parking lot, lots of cars.
Has the whole world switched to mobile super unleaded gasoline?
It's so powerful.
And it's got high octane. Oh, what do they have against knocking and pinging? Fellas, let's forget about mobile super unleaded. Why? It's beneath us.
Stepping out on the Levi's, corduroy night. Don't you just love 'em? Yeah, they dazzle everybody with the color and style. Don't you just love 'em? Yeah. Whoa, Levi's cords make 'em stop and stand. Levi's cords make 'em do what they dare. Don't you just love 'em? Levi's cords, don't you just love 'em?
If you're looking for an asset management account that gives you high-quality services without the high price tag, stop looking. It's here now at Charles Schwab & Company, America's leading discount broker. Compare Schwab One with other asset management accounts. With Schwab One, there is no monthly or annual fee, none. When you buy or sell securities, you can save up to 76% in stock brokerage commissions, compared to rates charged by full commission brokers. You can buy or sell no-load mutual funds. You can borrow on your marginable securities at low interest rates. You get high interest on cash between investments, a free Visa card, and free checking. You can open a Schwab One account with only $5,000, not $20,000 like the others. Schwab One, all the financial services you need without the high price tag.
For a free Schwab One brochure and application, call 800-631-1000 toll-free. No salesperson will call. That's 800-631-1000. Call now.
With me right now is the Vice President of the Offshore Racing Commission, Jay Smith. And Jay, how does one get involved in offshore racing?
You have to have an interest, of course. Perhaps you've had a performance boat in your backyard and you discovered that racing does exist someplace. You can come to a race, sign up right then and there if your equipment is proper, or you can perhaps write to the American Powerboat Association in their offices in Detroit, and that way you'll receive membership applications. You can get your rule book and know really what we're up to. It's a wonderful, exciting sport. I think it's growing around the countryside, and we look forward to having a lot of people participate in the future.
And here comes Popeye, home for his flag. The Superboat. Betty Al Coleman takes the flag. Maxon has just come across in first place. Maxon in boat number 23. And he, of course, taking over the checkered flag after Seahawk with that big lead fell by the wayside. Maxon. In the Offshore 2 international class, Tim Chizzuli driving it home. And here comes Jesse James, ready for the checkered flag in Offshore Class 3, the modifieds. There were 7 boats that started, and M94, Jesse James, driven by Chris Lavin, is coming home first. Ducksider has won the Pro Stock class in his 30-foot shadow. Bill Gazelle, the driver, Don Franklin, navigator, Dave Greaves, the throttleman, all 3 happy guys as they come home first in the Pro Stock. P3, Ducksider. Boat 25, Seahawk, is getting some on-river repairs. Betty, what's going on?
They're changing a propeller. They have either broken a prop or they're putting on a tube blade, which will enable them to keep up on plane. It's a common practice in catamarans. If you can keep that boat on plane, he's still got a good chance of finishing.
Now let's go back to Bruce Motti in the Mercury ACR High Performance Center with the winner of Offshore 3.
Mark Lavin is with me right now, winner of Offshore Class 3 and the second boat to cross the finish line today. Mark, you got to feel kind of happy about that.
Oh yeah, the boat ran perfect. We really had no complaints all day long. We just went out there and set our own pace, ran as fast as we could most of the time, and boat ran excellent.
The winner of Offshore Class 3, Jesse James, with brothers Mark and Chris Lavin.
Can you believe this? Hustler, Betty, has moved up after that disastrously late start.
Well, you never give up. I have to hand it to Casey. He's done a superior job. Especially his crew has done a superior job, because it isn't easy to do what they do.
It's Marv Vander Ark, the throttleman, and Bob Burbrink, the navigator, in their 33-foot Maverick. Remember, the Hustler getting a disastrously late start in this race. Didn't turn out too bad. Driver Casey Knassen is down with Bruce Motti in the Mercury Marine ACR Electronics High Performance Center.
Well, Jim, it did finish pretty well for Casey. Casey, of course, out of Holland, Michigan, had a late start here. What was the problem, Casey?
We had a little problem with a push rod, and the push rod created a vibration which caused a backfiring back through the carburetor. So we brought it back to the pits trying to get it rectified, and through the help of a lot of good mechanics from other boats even, pitched in, and we got some tools and we fixed it up and had a 12-minute late start. Ended up coming back in second place. Great.
This is Jim Biondi with Betty Cook, a champion in her own right, and we'll be back to talk with the winners of the Downriver Challenge Cup after these messages.
A forward pass, a lateral, and a run to daylight. When it works, it can win big. Hi, this is Bob Greasy for the Sporting News, and we have a play that'll win big for you every time. 2 issues for the price of 1 to introduce you to the Sporting News, the Sports Bible.
That's right. You get 23 issues of the Sporting News for just $9.97. 2 for the price of 1. You can't buy the Sporting News at a lower price anywhere.
It's the magazine that gives me the no-nonsense details of all Major League sports and college action, the ins and outs and the behind-the-scenes stories of the Big 4 action sports. To love sports is to love the Sporting News, the Sports Bible. Why don't you subscribe today? And here's a friend to tell you how.
That's right, Bob. You get the Sporting News at the low rate of 44 cents an issue. 23 issues for $9.97. That's half the regular subscription price.
Why not take advantage of this special 2-for-1 offer now? You know, you can't get the Sporting News at a lower price anywhere.
To subscribe to the Sporting News, call toll-free 1-800-445-8400. That's 1-800-445-8400. Take advantage of this special 2-for-1 offer. You get 23 issues for only $9.97. That toll-free number is 1-800-445-8400. Remember, you can't get the Sporting News at a lower price anywhere. Call 1-800-445-8400. That's 1-800-445-8400.
Sun cracks the sky into morning, starts warming up a boating day.
For a perfect day on the water, team up with a Mercury outboard.
It's you and your Mercury.
It's engineering excellence that delivers hassle-free boating fun.
It's you and your Mercury.
Whether you're heading out fishing, cruising, or skiing, you and your Mercury make a great team.
Make a Mercury outboard a part of your dream.
Let's go to Bruce Motti with a special guest in the Mercury ACR Center.
With me right now, I have Sal Magluta, the driver of the Seahawk. And Sal, you were running away from it. You looked like you were going to be the first guy to get a checkered flag today. You were running away from everybody. Then what happened?
We lost an outdrive. I think the shaft broke. I'm not sure, not yet, but it's an outdrive.
So that's why you jumped in the water. Were you hoping it was a prop at first?
Yes, we jumped in to see if it was a prop and see if we could get a changer. So then we jumped in to change the other prop to see if we could get it on plane, but we couldn't, so we just...
Even though you didn't finish, you still won the ACR Electronics Fastest Lap Award. And right now we have George Woods to present this to you. George is now stepping into the picture. Sal, you went 95.24 miles per hour, which was the fastest lap of any boat today out on the race course, and that in itself is a great accomplishment.
Oh, yeah, it's glad to have it, but I'd trade it for a checker flag anytime.
Okay, Sal Magluta receiving the ACR Electronics Fastest Lap Award here in Wyandotte, Michigan.
The results in today's Downriver Challenge Cup race: in Offshore 1, Popeye, the winner. Chrysler Laser and Stiletto did not finish. In Offshore 2, Maxon comes in first, followed by Surgeon and Mr. Roberts. In Offshore 3, Jesse James, the winner, and HMS Dia 1, number 2. The Offshore 4 results: Still Crazy gets the checkered flag, Hustler is second, and Tapper third. And in Offshore 5, it's Docksider coming in first, ACR Spirit was second, What a Package third. The results in Offshore 6, Scarlett O'Hara's is number 1, followed by Miss Minneapolis and Team Gulfwind. And there's another award today for Walter Beasley as Armin Wiegert, the head of the High Performance Division of Mercury, comes in to present him with the Most Valuable Driver Award for today's Downriver Challenge Cup race. Betty, just how's that prestigious award determined?
It is indeed a prestigious award. The basis of this award is mostly on the fact that these gentlemen took a boat out that was totally unknown, not only to them, but to the offshore U.S. racing circuit. 24-foot, 8-inch Cougar Cat. Hasn't been done before. They didn't know the boat. Not only did they run the boat beautifully, trim it beautifully, handle it beautifully, but they won their class.
Well, the weather certainly cooperated for our fast boat ride down the Detroit River. Betty Cook, some thoughts from you on today's race.
Well, Jim, you know, yesterday I predicted that today conceivably could be the day when the Class 2 boats would outrun the Class 1 boats. And it certainly was. The weather cooperated, certainly the water conditions, running in the confined space of a river. They kept their equipment together, and it was the day that indeed that is exactly what happened.
Kind of like the old offshore days of yours, weren't they?
Yes, it was. You ran your own race, and I think it's important to remember that whenever you're racing. You run your own race. You know what your equipment will do. You know what your crew will do. You know what the water conditions are, and you run accordingly. And by George, it works every time.
All right, Betty, thanks so much. Let's get some comments from our other crew members. First, from Paula Aiken out on Stony Island.
Jim, there's an old adage in offshore powerboat racing: smooth braces break boats, and rough braces break people. And this was one of those days where it was really smooth water. Now, there weren't a lot of records set, but it was a good, safe race, a nice race, and the spectators had a tremendous time.
Now let's hear from Bruce Motti in the Mercury ACR High Performance Center.
It was almost reminiscent of old days of offshore racing, as Maxon was the first place winner overall, even though he was in offshore class 2. The big super boat driven by Al Copeland, the Popeyes Diet Coke boat, the one favored to win offshore class 1, was the third boat to receive a checkered flag, and he finished first in his class, but still, surprisingly, with his steering problems and mechanical problems, couldn't keep up with Maxon. And then with Mark Lavin finishing second and Jesse James at first in his class, it was a great day for the underdogs.
We want to thank you for joining us for the Downriver Challenge Cup race today here in Wyandotte, Michigan. This is Jim Viandi, and for Betty Cook, goodbye from the Portside Inn.
Tonight's show has been brought to you by Mobil Super Unleaded Gasoline. Mobil Super Unleaded. It's really powerful. And by Levi's Action Slacks and Action Jeans.
A promotional fee has been paid by Mercury Marine. Mercury Marine, high-performance products, first in performance reliability, innovative products through engineering excellence. And by ACR Electronics. Wherever you go, whatever your needs, ACR lets you take confidence along. ACR Electronics is the world's leading manufacturer of safety and emergency equipment for boaters, flyers, and outdoor enthusiasts.